Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are on the final stretch. This is week 4, lesson 7. This lesson is all about eating right when we are eating out. And so let's just jump right into it. We're going to do a screen share and look at our program for today. Okay, and let's just go ahead and start our program. So again, this is week 4, lesson 7, eating right while eating out. Remember, we talked about my plate in previous lessons. And so we're going to be talking about, the best ways in this, how to cut calories, the best ways to cut calories, because, eating out is just part of what we do. So we still need to make some healthy choices, but we have to remember what we're doing with that. So again, here's the my plate. We need to consider eating all the 5 groups when we go out, and it's just as important when we are eating at home. It's especially important if we're going out to eat at restaurants or fast food places. Often we need to make sure that we're getting enough of our vegetables at home, and we have an activity that we're going to do at the end of this. And we've used some of our local restaurants, and we love our local restaurants, but we need to remember that, sometimes menus limit the types of foods that we can get. And so it's especially when we are limited about the types of foods that we can get and our choices and the way that they're prepared, this is especially important to remember to add the proper vegetables and fruits in with our food choices, because they might not be available. The better food choices might not be available at certain restaurants. And again, it's, those are sometimes foods, but sometimes we are kind of limited and we don't have a choice about what we're going to eat. Some key words that we're going to be cluing into today are fat, sugar, and calorie content in restaurant foods. So can you think of some words that would signal these foods? So when you think about words and phrases around fat, calories, and sugar, what are some common phrases that you might think of when you're looking at menus that would signal that it might be high in fat? Or is there something that you already know by experience that it signals it's high in fat or high in calories? What are some words that might signal high in calories? Or what are some words that might signal that this food is high in sugar? Okay, so if we're looking at words such as the fat, maybe we're looking at words such as deep fried, and if we've not already guessed them, fried. We look at sugar, it might be glazed, honey glazed. If we're looking at fat, again, it might be crispy, because if it's deep fried, it might be crispy. Sugar is just common. Battered, again, that's another word that might indicate to us that it might be higher in calories and fat. Beer battered, cream of, drenched, cheesy, refried. Candied is also a sugar term, but refried or cheesy or drenched, that could mean that it is, higher fat content. And if it's higher fat content, we're going to find out about that fat content in just a minute, about how many calories. We're going to look at that. So some other things to keep watch out for: dressings and sauces and condiments. Ketchup has calories, so do ranch, dressing, and cheeses. If we try to leave off some of these ingredients to reduce the calories we eat, that might reduce some of the calories. So most restaurants will make a dish that you requested. If you want the cook to leave off the mayo, that is a high calorie item, the restaurant will usually allow that without charging you extra. We can also think about doing substitutions for a more healthy ingredient for a higher calorie item, such as salad instead of fries, but sometimes restaurants might charge us a small fee for that convenience. Or you might even choose to have some soup with your burger instead of a French fries. And that might be lower in calories, but again, some soups, the cream soups, can be higher in fat again. So be aware of what you're eating. And again, just that experience about knowing that cream of might have higher fat content. Another thing that you could commonly do is try splitting a meal while eating out to save calories and usually cost. And sometimes the restaurant will charge a small fee for a second plate, but sometimes they won't. And then also one thing that you can do is that, most restaurants, I mean, a lot of restaurants have these very large portion sizes. And so if you could ask for a to-go container up front, and right away before you even start eating the food, place some of that food in your to-go container, and then you won't be tempted to overeat. And then you'll have food for another day as well. So you can also can foods, preserve them. Canned foods have to be stored in a special way. But again, when you're eating out, cutting down your portion sizes is also important, because we had this whole time that they supersized everything, and supersizing leads to supersized people. So we have to be careful about that. When we're looking at our nutrition facts label, one thing that we need to be aware of, okay, so we need to be really looking at the serving size. And again, on that nutrition facts label, it says this, and then it'll tell you how many servings per container. And, if you sit down with a bag of chips and there's a lot of servings in that, you can't eat a whole bag of chips and assume it only has, because the 240 calories that's listed per serving if you eat the whole bag. You have to multiply it out, and then you truly know how many calories that you're getting. So be clued in to what what the serving size is, how much of that package are you eating. Fat, one thing that we'll say about fat, okay, so for protein and carbohydrates, they're 4 calories per gram. But when you are looking at fat is 9 calories per gram. So it is a calorie dense food. So when we look at those foods that might have a lot more fat in them, we are automatically over doubling our fat or our calorie content. So most Americans, I mean, when we think about it, most Americans don't need a 2,000 calorie per day diet. We need to be watching how much sodium that we're taking in as well. So let's just and to kind of close out this lesson, we're going to just kind of look at some local restaurants. And again, I'm not saying one is bad or one is good, but, there are choices that you can make. And, if you choose to eat at a burger place, and remember, a burger place, you're going to expect that, yes, you're going to, because the deep fried foods, they're going to have more calories. And so, when we're considering eating out, we need to make sure that we're very cognizant about the rest of our day, what it is that we're putting in our bodies. So if you know that you're going to be eating out that night at a fast food restaurant, you need to make sure that you're getting plenty of non-starchy, fresh vegetables, fruits, healthy foods the other part of the day, to account, to kind of counterbalance that, that you're going to be eating a higher fat menu. So that being said, okay, so I took and got restaurants and menus from our local restaurants, and you can go on the web to find these. And I just took them off of there as far as what kind of information I could find. So this was one of our restaurants. And if I look at the menu here and I'm looking at grilled, well, I know that grilled actually might add some fat in it, but I can do, if the chicken breast, I could either do it with a breaded chicken breast, or I could do a grilled chicken breast. So if it's grilled without the bread on it, that's going to be a little healthier choice for me. But grilled typically means it might have a little bit of fat that's prepared with that. I'm looking at shredded cheddar. That's okay. So I know that we have some fat with that. And I'm looking at 2 fried bread dough. Well, guess what? Bread dough is also deep fried, so I know that that is a higher fatty item. chef salad, tossed greens, diced ham, diced turkey, shredded cheddar. So I'm looking at that, and that probably would be the only fat in that. So maybe that's a healthier choice. But again, we got to watch that breadstick, because that breadstick might be deep fried. So it could be that we, have half the breadstick if we're watching our fat content. So again, when we come down here, the shrimp salad, we've got deep fried, ale battered shrimp. Well, anything that is deep fried and battered, we know that it's going to have concentrated forms of fat in it. Crispy breaded chicken, again, concentrated calories in that. So grilled chipotle chicken, Monterey Jack, grilled fajita vegetables, maybe a little bit better choice there. We have to watch if with the mayo, we can ask that they leave the mayo off on our Big Thunder. Grilled or breaded? Well, if you can get grilled over breaded, a better choice for you. So served with whipped potatoes and smothered in beef gravy, and gravy can be higher in fat as well. So we are looking at some of this stuff, and some of this stuff is going to be high in salt. So if you're watching your sodium content, again, it is about reading the menus and seeing what's on there. So, and again, I love our local restaurants, eat them all the time, but I also am aware that I have to make better food choices if I'm going to eat high fatty items on the menu. And also I need to be cognizant, if I haven't been eating really well for things, I've been eating a lot of fatty stuff, then I need to be making better choices if I am going to be eating out. So, and I did look at our local Subway. We have one in here in Carrington, and with this you can go in here and Subway has some fatty choices as well. Again, so I'm talking about that, fat has 9 calories per gram, and you can get information from them. It's posted in their restaurant. But if I look at this, and it looks at serving size here, and it tells me how many calories something is. And so if I look at the calories and then I start looking at the total fat grams, now we understand why these items might have higher calorie counts here, because we're looking at total fat grams here. And we multiply that out by 9, and there's a lot of our calories from these items are coming from fat. And again, so like the tuna can be healthy in itself, and it does have it is a fat-rich food, a healthier food for us, but the mayo in it is what we're going to be watching with that. So spicy Italian, that's 24 grams of fat for that one. So again, read your menu. You can get information about your fat grams on it. They're not available for all local small town restaurants or mom and pop restaurants, but just looking at the menu description, sometimes you can discern information, and sometimes you can't. You just have to be knowledgeable about how things are prepared, which kind of shows this one. And again, I myself will eat at some of these restaurants, but again, the other choices that I make in the day have to be healthier choices. So when I'm looking at a basket or something like that, I know that that's going to be deep fried food. I accept that. So, it's kind of, for me, is going to be one of those things that it's going to be a sometimes food. And I know that we have to be cognizant about that. We have to be aware of the things that we're eating. I'm not saying don't eat at these restaurants. I'm just saying, if you are going to make that choice, try not to do it too often, and balance out the rest of your foods for the day. You're going to be needing to add those, those salads. If you're getting takeout and bringing it home, if you have some green salad made up at home, if you're going to have the burger, maybe you opt for the green salad and don't take the fries at the restaurant. Weigh your choices and, try some different options for yourself. And, having a green salad already made up at home and you're bringing home burgers actually may be a better option than bringing home French fries. So that's where we end with this lesson. And we'd encourage you to check out the video for our food prep for this week. All right. And this is where we will end for today. So we'll see you at the next lesson. And that is our final lesson.